All right, so now that we're through the acute phase of the healing process, which usually lasts around 21 days, it's time for us to start to do a little bit more mobilizations and starting to actually get the muscles to loosen up a little more using a little bit more of aggressive techniques. We still want to be easy with the muscles here because this person was in that car accident and suffered that whiplash, but we can also start to be a little more intense with what we're doing. So one thing that we want to start doing is start to use our hands here to start to get his neck moving better. So I want to start by assessing his range of motion, so I can turn his head as far as it can go to one direction and then lightly turn it as far as it can go the other direction. I also want to look at his range of motion with his head flexed as well, because this allows me to differentiate between the upper and lower cervical spine. So his neck actually moves fairly well here. If someone was still flared up, I'd want to move it much less. Since he's moving pretty good, one thing I can start to do is start to do a mobilization. An easy mobilization of the neck is just getting it moving into rotation and then doing a little bit of an up glide of those cervical vertebrae here. So I just want to work up the spine here nice and easy, starting down the lower neck and working up towards the top. And you can do this in both sides. Just to get those joints moving a little better, because most of the time they'll be pretty restricted due to the injury. We've been doing some of those easy range of motion exercises, such as those cervical cars, which stands for controlled articular rotations, and then also those easy retractions. It's time to start to get a little bit more aggressive with our mobilization techniques that you can do at home. So one of the ones we can start with here is called a seated thoracic extension. The thoracic spine is closely related to the cervical spine, and in a whiplash accident, when your head comes forward, you're also going to be flexing through the upper thoracic spine and most likely causing some damage to those tissues as well. So it's good to mobilize the thoracic spine in junction with the cervical spine to help with the healing process. So with the seated thoracic extension here, what you're going to do is I want you to go ahead and take your hands behind your head for me. You can either keep your elbows together here or you can go far apart. This is a little more intense because it's going to stretch the front of your chest as well. So let's start here for you, okay? So what you're going to do here is you're going to just relax here, take a nice deep breath in. On the way out, I want you to extend over the chair from your back and just reach backwards as far as you can, look up towards the ceiling. Just go as far as you can comfortably and then come back. Let's go ahead and do a couple of those. I don't want you to do this with feeling any pain, so make sure you're moving in a pain-free range of motion here. Good. And this chair is actually pretty low here on his thoracic spine, so at home what we can do is you can find a chair that's a little higher up to target higher on his back, or you can even do this sitting on the ground against a coffee table or something like that, so you can target different areas of the back. Another great exercise is those cervical retractions, but since we're farther along in the healing process now, we want to make them a little more aggressive. So what we can do here is actually go through a full range of motion technique with that retraction. So I want you to imagine that your chin's resting on a table here, and what you're going to do is take that chin straight back towards the back of your neck, okay? I want you to go as far as you can. Hold that for a couple of seconds and then come back to neutral for me. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so now what you're going to do is I want you to still imagine that your chin's on that table, pull straight back. You're going to use whatever hand you're comfortable with. You're going to put it on your chin, and I want you to push farther into that range of motion for me to help mobilize the base of your neck there and also the upper part of your neck. Good. Pull straight back, push, hold for 2 to 3 seconds, and then rest. Pull back, push, and then rest. One thing we want to make sure we do here is I don't want you to ever come all the way forward again. This will cause some irritation in the neck. So you want to make sure you start in neutral, pull straight back, do the overpressure, and then return to neutral. Don't go forward past that, okay? Does that make sense? Perfect. So let's try a couple more here. Good. Awesome.